Oh, the weather outside is frightful, but the fire is so delightful. And since we've no place to go,
track day, bro. Track day, bro. Track day, bro.
So like the man said, the weather outside is frightful. So I'd rather think about happy warm weather things like motorcycles and track days. First, a little bit of background. I'm a car nut. If you've seen my BR's logs, you already know that. I've done quite a few track days in cars over the years. I've driven tracks all over the Northeast like Lime Rock, New Hampshire Motor Speedway, Thompson Speedway, the new Canaan Motor Park up in New Hampshire, and Palmer Motorsports Park, which is my favorite track, as you can see here. I always swore that I would never do a track day on a motorcycle, because if I'm going to go that fast under those kinds of circumstances and push that hard, I wanted a steel cage around me just in case something went wrong. I always figured motorcycle track days looked, well, something like this. Now really, I admire those MotoGP guys, and especially the Isle of Man TT riders. One of my bucket list items is to go to the Isle of Man someday to watch the TT, but not to ride. I have no desire to go 200 miles an hour sideways into a field of sheep. But then I heard about some non-sport bike track days being held by one of my local groups, Tony's Track Days. They normally do the usual track day bro sorts of motorcycle track days, tracks all over New England. But once a year, they do one geared specifically toward non-racers and non-speed freaks, and, by definition, non-sport bikes. The focus at those events is more on learning, practice, improving your riding skills for the street, not just going fast around a racetrack. Because of the slower pace, the motorcycle and the gear requirements are slightly lower, to the point where I'm fully qualified for it. Now I know I've learned a ton about car control and performance driving at the autocrosses and the track days that I've done for years. I've for a long time considered myself an above average driver, but only an adequate rider. So I got over myself and I signed up, hoping to improve my skills in a learning environment such as this. The primary emphasis is on safety and making sure everybody who rode their bike to the track can ride home afterwards. But it was also a rather relaxed environment at the same time. At no point were we ever pushed to ride beyond our limits. I had a Honda Pacific Coast 800 at the time, and it was the slowest motorcycle in the sport touring group. I think I passed exactly one person all day, and everybody else passed me at least once. But that was okay. It's such a wide track, made for cars, that there was plenty of room for everybody to pass, so I wasn't holding anybody up. Everyone who wanted to go faster than me could just scoot right by on the next straightaway, and I could just ride my own ride and not hold anybody up, so I didn't have to worry about that. In addition to the on-track experience, there was plenty of classroom instruction, headed up by Ken Condon of Motorcyclist Magazine and his own Riding in the Zone website. All day, we alternated between track sessions and classroom sessions, with a break for lunch in the middle of the day. Each classroom session focused on maybe 2 or 3 major points for each of us to think about and work on during our next track session. There was also plenty of on-track instruction, not like a typical car track day where they stick an instructor in the passenger seat with you, because obviously that wouldn't work on a motorcycle. But there were instructors on sport and racing bikes much faster than us that would filter through all of the student riders. And they would watch us, pass us, give us a thumbs up if we were doing really well, or if they wanted to show us a better line or a better way to do something, they'd tap the tail of their bike, slow down, and have us follow their line for a lap around the track, and try and teach us a better way to ride. Here I am following Ken Condon himself for a lap. He watched what I was doing. He showed me the better line. He's pointing out the proper line on the track, not just the cones at the apex and the turn in and the track out, but also X's marked in tape on the pavement itself to kind of help guide you through the turn as you went. And I'll tell you, after a lap following him, he took off at his own pace. My next lap was my fastest lap of the day. I learned so much about riding that day. I don't think I've learned as much about riding since my MSF Basic Rider course, literally. It was a very intense experience, but it was also a ton of fun. I mean, imagine your favorite twisty mountain road shut down to cars and oncoming traffic with no cops or speed limits, where you can ride as fast and hard as you want to. That's what this was like, especially at a track like Palmer, which is literally cut into the side of a mountain. And even better, since we were lapping a closed racetrack, we could tackle the same corners over and over again, which gave us the chance to push just a teeny little bit harder each time, with a reasonable margin for error if we overcooked it slightly. We could try different lines, different entries, different exits. I struggled with turn 6 quite a bit through the day, and I tried many different lines. And yeah, I blew it many times, but the track was wide enough for a motorcycle that the worst thing that would happen is by the exit of the turn, I'd end up on the wrong side of the track, but I'd still be on the track. I wouldn't be in the grass or in the wall or anything. Now, I'm not ashamed to admit I've always been a little bit of a chicken shit on a motorcycle as compared to in a car. But here, for the first time, I was actually leaning far enough to scrape my foot pegs in the turns. By the end of the day, I had upgraded myself from adequate to good level as far as my riding goes. Not awesome, not Valentino Rossi, but certainly better than I was before I went into the day. Now, I haven't taken the MSF Advanced Rider course, but I think a track day like this is actually even better for more experienced riders because it's more like a road than a parking lot. You can practice these maneuvers at real road speeds, or in some cases at speeds that would get you arrested on the street. So I got my Shadow, and I have every intention of taking it to the next non-sport bike track day. Unfortunately, it's not until August, but I have every intention of being there because practice makes perfect. And though many skills I learned earlier this summer do transfer over to the Shadow pretty well, I have a whole new bike to learn, and I want to take it there to try everything on the new bike. I will leave a link in the description to the upcoming non-sport bike track day. If you want to improve your riding skills, but you aren't prepared to buy a track-prepared crotch rocket and all the leathers, I can't recommend like this highly enough. You will not regret it. Alright, time to get back to reality. It's winter, so I guess we have to face the fact that it's cold and snowy out. So until next time, this is the Basshole, signing off.